So we're going to go ahead and give Walker the complete rundown of the happenings. So Friday was a great day. I didn't get complete coverage of the North Hall game for being hit in the head with a baseball.
Hey, Seth, you want to play catch
What?
with your forehead?
Yeah, I got hit in the side of the head with a friggin' baseball. I was sitting
No
outside.
way.
I was sitting outside the dugout. Second baseman just slap over through first and beamed me right in the noggin.
There it is. There's that music.
Oh, hey. You're starting.
Are we going to change it, or are we just going to leave it?
No,
I think
never
it-
change this music.
Never change this music.
It's here.
Hold on.
It's here now.
Here it is.
No, not
We
another
need-
sound for Bo.
We need some OTR dancers. That's what we need.
Yeah. Get up on the table, Jeff.
I know that this room is kind. I know
I
this.
think I just hurt my hamstring thinking about
Yeah,
that.
don't fall off. Welcome to the show, Off the Rails. Hope everyone's doing just fantastic as it is.
How's your head, Seth?
How's
your head,
the
Seth?
greatest
Been better.
times of the year, folks.
Been better.
It's March Madness, baby. It's
It is.
March Madness.
I'm. By the way, I'm off for the next 2 weeks.
You could, not watch one single college basketball game all year long and still get excited about this tournament.
Best 2 weeks
Yeah.
of the year, every year
Yes.
in sports, in my opinion.
Yes.
It's the only time I will just not work for 2 days and watch every game.
Well, you're going to
I'm
work.
going to stretch it out 2 more weeks, though, Jeff, and here's the reason. You get the national championship, and then right after that, the Masters.
The Masters.
That's true. And if you're a hockey fan like me,
Oh,
then
God,
you're rolling into the hockey playoffs.
Here we go. And if you're an NBA fan like me, you're rolling into the NBA playoffs.
So, how are the Hawks doing this year?
They suck. By
Hey,
the
March
way,
Madness already started for me.
yeah, that's right, national champ. Look at
Yeah.
you.
Wait, your team won the
The
national
Builders built a national championship.
Really? What division
Look
is
at
that
that.
again? What division is that again?
The USCAA, Small College Athletic Association.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Top of the
National
world.
champions.
Top of the. When are we getting the T-shirt shipped to us?
Yeah. Yeah.
Flash sale is live until Sunday at
Well,
midnight.
we just
Whoa,
we don't want a flash sale.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
know the guy.
Flash sale is
we-
live until Sunday at
We
midnight.
know the
That's-
guy.
GoBuilders.com.
I mean,
That is
go
his
to-
line, and he's sticking with it.
Go to the
Wow.
closet and ship us some T-shirts.
That's right.
Flash sale is live until Sunday at midnight. GoBuilders.com.
That's not even Walker. That's
Do
an
you-
audio bed that he's got.
I-
He's
you,
got it as a
Do
hotkey.
you get paid by the commercial?
I think we should get a T-shirt to wear on next week's show.
Yeah. Yeah, get on that.
Build us
Bo,
a T-shirt.
Bo, we've had discussions about the beginning of football season. Just give it some time.
Oh, I
am
was
giving
afraid we
it
were about
time.
to get these
I-
standard.
look, I'm going to have to work double time now to find photos.
I thought we were going to get flash sales on till Sunday at builders.com.
And Seth's gone. Bye-bye.
Checks out.
I mean, you're gonna have to work double time.
Oh, I do. The stress of
March
the
Madness.
searching the photos.
So March
Yeah.
Madness, everyone.
Yeah, so March Madness. Hey, does everyone want to go to Phoenix for the Final Four? I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I would go
Yeah.
Is
here
Jacobs
Absolutely.
Media paying?
tomorrow. Doubt
Absolutely.
it, but yeah. So
My Final Four would be a lot of fun.
it would be.
The Final Four I've got would
Hey,
be
Phoenix-
a
Oh,
lot
your
of fun.
Final Four. I think the
Yeah.
Final Four would just be fun.
Phoenix is a
regardless.
cool-
It would, but in terms of the games that I have in my predictions, that they would be a lot of fun.
I got
to
a
watch.
news flash for you. I have not filled out a bracket.
I got it somewhat filled out.
I have not.
Are you going to fill it out live here on the air?
filled out a bracket?
I can continue filling some of them.
Are you filling it out live on the air? Bro?
No, I'm not.
That's too many games. That's too many games.
I just
Didn't
the
you-
big question is UConn, can they won it last year, right?
But
See,
did-
I don't even remember who
did-
won it last year.
UConn won
I
it.
watched it.
Didn't FAU won they in the championship game?
They went to the Final Four. I don't
Ooh.
think they
Okay.
made the
So
championship.
they
Yeah.
had. You could have a UConn FAU second round matchup,
In Brooklyn.
which is really interesting.
That is pretty interesting. All right, so what's the most interesting matchups in this
The
bracket for
first
you
round
guys?
or just potential?
Let's start first
Let's start
round
first
because
round,
those
'cause
are the
it's-
ones that
yeah.
are the one that I find the most intriguing, Bo, and I think it's going to be James Madison, Wisconsin, that 5-12 game.
Oh,
We all know Wisconsin
to
big.
5-12.
They like to throw down and slow the game way down. James Madison is an upbeat team. Having seen them in person this year, they like to run and gun. So the question's going to be, will it be slow pace that wins or high pace that wins? James Madison can play defense, but they don't have the size to match up with Wisconsin. They do have the speed to outrun Wisconsin, though. I think that's a fun matchup to watch.
So we've got the 16-16 game tonight, Boise State and Colorado, correct?
That's a 10-10.
10-10,
Yeah, the 10-10
whatever,
because
10-10,
Virginia
yeah.
got blown out last night.
God, that was the most boring game I think I have ever watched.
They went 11 minutes without hitting a bucket.
So they scored 14.
Sounds like
14.
Georgia against Xavier in the
I didn't
not
even
in
watch
tournament
that.
We
game.
were up 23 with like 11 minutes.
You didn't watch
to go.
that? You didn't watch the not in tournament game?
I did not watch the not invited tournament.
I like that.
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Yeah.
So it's a not invited tournament. They've changed the name.
16 and 17, Xavier versus the 17 and 16
Did you
Georgia
notice?
Bulldogs.
Did you
And
notice?
the upper section was not even had nobody in it.
Listen, did
Yeah.
y'all notice how many
Crowd was
teams
miserable.
opted not to play?
Yeah,
in the NIT?
I would opt not to play.
I would opt out of the NIT.
not
Why?
in tournament.
Why?
Why would you want to play
What
the
is this, a
not
scrub tournament,
Why would you
man?
not want to play the not invited tournament, the not important tournament, the not in tournament, whatever you want to call it? It's not important. It's
not
to
important.
determine the 69th best team in the nation.
Well, is it really? I mean, come on.
Well, I mean,
You're not in the top 68.
yeah, but
Yeah.
your conferences get money for all of these things.
How
You had-
much are
I
you
don't
going to
know,
get for
but
being
here's
in
the
the
thing.
They get enough money
NIT?
from everything else.
You had
Come on.
six. You had six Pac-10, 12, 40, whatever.
Congratulations.
The non-existent league, whatever it is.
And you just
And
made the
Ole-
point.
And Ole Miss. Why, if you're Ole Miss, why would you not go?
Well, the question is you're not one of the 8 SEC tournaments in the big dance. You know, how long is that going to be put up with?
Again, the tournament's not important. It's to determine team number 69 in the pecking order.
Yeah, and you
Just like the CBI or CIT or whatever the
raise
third-
that banner into the rafters.
Yeah, who's raising a CBI?
Well, you do
banner?
realize, I know that everything is evolved over the last 50 years, but, you know, it used to be that the NIT was actually the more prestigious tournament than the NCAA tournament. So when you got invited to the NIT, I mean, they only took like the top 12, 16 teams in the country. So that was
Well, that was
actually-
before the NCAA came up with their 64.
think that was also
and now
before-
that's
Was
the,
that like
It was
back in
before-
1880?
Yeah, it was before television and before radio. So, but
You know, when Jeff was going to school.
Yeah, back when Jeff was walking to school in the snow up the hill both ways barefoot.
I didn't even get bare feet.
That's why he walks so funny. He doesn't have all the toes.
Yeah.
That's right.
All right, so you picked a 5-12 game as your most interesting one. So
in the first round, yes.
that is the upset pick game.
I-
The highest percentage for the upset, right, is in the 5-12 game.
I have
It's either
another,
that or 6-11. Yeah, it's one of those.
I have
two.
another 5-12 game when you're looking
Who you
at
got?
Gonzaga and McNeese State. I was listening and reading some stuff on McNeese State.
Mm-hmm.
That is a really good basketball team. And
Yeah, a lot
Gonzaga-
of people are picking them.
He
Yeah.
pronounced all
Gonzaga-
3 syllables in Gonzaga, dude.
Well, Gonzaga has.
Is it
you know,
Gonzaga or Gonzaga?
According to Jeff, it's Gonzaga. It's freaking
Gonzaga.
all 3 syllables.
Who cares? That's an interesting one to me, and I'll tell you another interesting one is the one in that same bracket, Kansas and Samford. Samford, pretty good basketball team. They won 29 games. In Kansas, if you noticed last night, their best player is out, and they already lost another player. They're really reeling right now. So Kansas, those are my 2 upset specials in the first round right there. McNeese.
So you're
State
going
and
McNeese and
Sanford
to win.
and
Wow.
Sanford. So pretty much, I was pretty much down the line on just about everything else. Although I think I was waffling on the Wisconsin James Madison, and since you've seen them in person and you like James Madison, I have switched my pick to James Madison.
I like the Dukes, but I don't like them to beat Duke in the second round.
Well, how does the Colorado State blowout on Monday night play into their first round matchup with Texas? A 7-10 matchup there.
I'm still waffling on that one, to be honest.
That
with
is a
you,
big
Bo,
waffle.
because
That is a big waffle.
I don't really like the way that Texas is coming into the tournament. Again, I haven't watched. The most Division I college basketball I've watched this
Right,
year was for a team that won 6 games this year.
Mm-hmm.
So, I doing some research, I really liked how Colorado State played last night.
I did
a little
too.
bit. I watched them. But it's Texas, and that's a power as opposed to a Mountain West team. So, but the Mountain West has a lot of teams in it this year.
Hey,
they've been strong. So.
I'm taking the Rams.
I mean, do you feel like you can make that argument though, conference versus conference in college basketball?
I think to a certain degree. I mean, Texas has all the money in the world, and they can get anybody they want to with NIL now. Colorado State doesn't.
All right, who do you feel like is going to be the biggest flop in this tournament, the first round? Is it going to be Auburn?
No.
You don't think Auburn and Yale will be interesting?
No.
See, I think that'll be an interesting game, but I've got Auburn to the Sweet 16. I've got my biggest flop as Alabama.
Ooh.
I've got Charleston.
I've
got Charleston
Jeff.
going to the Sweet 16.
No. Thank you. I picked them.
I've got Charleston.
They were the number 1 seed.
Another team I've seen.
Look, they were the number 1 seed last year. I drank the Kool-Aid. You know, I'm like I died.
Hey, I drank
died
it too.
Right there.
It was awful.
And so, yes, thank you. Thank you for not picking Alabama. We have a shot now.
I've got the College of Charleston to the Sweet 16, another one of the teams that I've seen in person this year.
See?
They can score 100 points on absolutely anybody at any given time. They shoot the 3 ball at 43% on the season as a team. Give me College of Charleston all the way to the Sweet 16.
You know what? I'm going to change my pick, and I'm going to take the same thing.
You know what? I'm going to call out St. Peter's. I think they're going to upset Tennessee in the first round. Especially if Tennessee.
That's a national championship caliber team for me. Tennessee.
Is it?
I've got them all the way to the championship
What did
game.
Mississippi State do to them the other day?
Who?
That's why I think they make it all the way to the national championship.
Look, Mississippi State, I think, is a very interesting team.
It is very interesting.
I have them into the Sweet 16. I also have.
Where are they at in this bracket again?
They are with North Carolina. I have them beating the
Michigan State. They play Michigan State.
They play
first
Michigan
round.
State first.
That's right. Yeah, I have them getting the first win over the Spartans.
Right. Normally, I'd never pick against Michigan State in the first round or two because Tom Izzo always has a way of getting them going. But I saw them play late in the year, not real good, and I was really impressed with how Mississippi State played in the SEC tournament. I think they're kind of peaking right now, Mississippi State. The question is, can they beat? I have them in St. Mary's in the Sweet 16. Can they get to the Elite Eight? I don't know, but I really like.
Wait, you have Mississippi State beating Carolina?
Yes, I do.
Wow,
but
okay.
Not that impressed with Carolina.
I tend to agree with you on that, especially after watching that ACC championship.
Yeah, they did not. They did not look real, which means they could come out and fix their problems. But there were just some inherent flaws with that team that I saw, and I really liked the way Mississippi State.
If you go back to Tennessee, they sat a week before they played the first tournament game in the SEC. True. They're going to sit another week here. Now, I know it's a 2 versus 15 here.
Look,
with St. Peter's.
Yeah, but the Peacocks made a run to the Sweet 16 last year.
So, is that going to happen? I'm still going to stick with an upset there. I don't know if I'll put it down on the bracket in the office, but
I may have Tennessee. I don't know yet where
on this show. Yeah.
I don't know where I have Tennessee going, but nothing sucks like a big orange. So there you go. So,
Bo, you haven't filled out your bracket,
I
right?
have not. I have not even looked
just
at
looking
the
at the bracket.
Until today.
What's wrong with that?
Just funny.
Ask me.
Just looking at the bracket, Bo.
Yes.
Final 4 teams, just in just a quick glance. I know you're not looking, at matchups and everything because you haven't filled it out, but if you had to pick your top 4, I'm just curious who you were looking at right now.
Well, I definitely going to throw UConn out there, and I know they're number 1 seed, but I kind of feel like they're playing well, coming into the tournament. So I got to feel them as a top 4. Also, I always go with Duke, but Duke is not really playing all that great at this moment.
Oh, I hate that for them.
Yeah,
I really do.
I know you do. Oh boy, this is tough, Walker.
Let me tell you where I'm at while you take a look.
Yeah.
I've got Iowa State upsetting UConn in the Elite Eight. A lot of people said on Selection Sunday that the Cyclones got gypped out of a number 1 seed after they knocked off Houston in the Big 12 championship.
Whoa, wait, time out. Stop there. Houston got beat by Iowa State. I missed that.
Iowa State, yes.
I missed that. I saw Houston play twice. I thought that was the most complete team I've seen this year.
Iowa State won the Big 12.
Okey-doke.
They are a 2 seed in the East bracket. That's top left.
I got that one.
So I've got Iowa State getting in out of the East. I've got Kentucky coming out of the South, beating Houston.
Smoking something? Go ahead.
I was about to say that.
And here's why. Because
not that. I was about
Houston,
to say Kentucky, my number 2
Houston
team.
is one of those teams that, yes, they're the most complete, but in big games, they haven't performed extremely well this year. They lost a couple of big games against big opponents early in the year. They lost the Big 12 championship. I don't like how they perform on the big stage. So I think Kentucky, with Calipari, who's won on the big stage multiple times before, I think they can get that one done. But I also like them. I also like Marquette to, if Marquette beats Kentucky in the Sweet 16, I would take Marquette over Houston. So either way, I don't like Houston coming out of that bracket, Jeff.
Okay. I have Houston beating Marquette. I like Marquette, but they screwed me last year, so I'm not picking them to go any further than that. I'm
to
not
the
picking,
Midwest.
I'm not picking Bama either.
Midwest, I'm taking Tennessee.
I'm done with that.
Dude's going to choke in the Elite Eight. I think Tennessee has the ability to play as well as anybody on this bracket. So
Better hope Connect is connecting. I'm just all I've got to say for Tennessee. Because he was not connecting in that that SEC tournament game. Look, you asked me a moment ago who,
and then I got Carolina. That's my fourth.
Who
team.
I felt my top 4 were. As I was listening to you talk, I already picked UConn, and on the other side here, can South Carolina make noise? Maybe get to the Elite Eight, Sweet 16 against, as you say, Tennessee. Even though I've said St. Peter's is going to upset Tennessee in the first round. That's a big question, but I do like over in the Midwest, Kansas. I know that's kind of a tournament name.
Wow! So me and you are like
with the injuries that they have right now. That's the only reason.
That's a good point.
What was
that's
that?
a good point. ACL for who?
Their number one guy.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one for them.
Yeah.
But I still like them. But I don't know if they'll be in the top 4 out of that side. Man. I'm going to go with Duke up in the South. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Sure am. Sorry.
Do you never learn?
No.
So who do you go with out of the West? Because I think the West is the most difficult bracket to pick.
I'm struggling with that.
I got you. Arizona.
Yeah, but traditionally they choke. I mean,
Arizona.
Oh, I mean,
there you have it.
The question is, which round do they?
I almost picked Long Beach State to beat Arizona because of the story. Have you guys seen what's going on at Long Beach State? Their coach got fired before the conference championship, or got not renewed before the conference championship. He had the ability to finish out the season as the head coach of Long Beach State. They win the conference championship to get the bid into the into the big dance. I almost picked Long Beach State for the Cinderella story. I decided I was going to go for points instead of heart, and so got Arizona to win that one. But it's a really cool story. If you haven't had a chance to go look up the Long Beach State story and just read about that, that's something you should definitely do before the tournament starts Thursday.
I probably should read up on the whole tournament before I fill my
you got 24 hours.
Yeah, I got 24 hours to do it. But yeah,
as the time of recording,
you look at this bracket, guys, every year, and we make our picks. We fill out a bracket, we do this. But when you first look at the bracket, do your eyes just explode? Because of the way this tournament always goes.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the question is, do you look at this and try to pick your upset specials before you pick the games that you feel like, 90% sure that are going to turn out that way? I'm always looking for that upset special. I'm also looking at teams that come in hot, because how often has that played a major factor in these things? And last year kind of bit me. Alabama wasn't playing that great at the end, but they got the number 1 seed. Everybody was talking about them, and I drank the Kool-Aid on Alabama. My heart said they won't go past the second round because of how they were playing, and I didn't stick with that. So that's kind of where I'm at usually with these tournaments. With this tournament, you're going to have 80 to 85% of the teams that are supposed to win. The question is, if you want to win a bracket, you got to pick the right upsets.
Are you 100% positive the SEC will have somebody in the Final Four?
No.
I have two.
You have two. You've got Kentucky and Tennessee.
Yep. I've got an SEC team in the national championship this year because Kentucky and Tennessee would play each other.
I think I had Alabama in the national championship last year.
Oh, I did too. Trust me. Yeah.
Who does Seth have? We haven't even heard from him.
Seth, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
He had to put his glasses on.
They are blue light glasses because the lights were actually hurting my head.
I think what he's been doing is using our scouting reports to help his bracket.
Well, my scouting report's terrible, so don't use mine.
You guys are probably going to really get on to me about this. I don't plan on watching March Madness
He never puts a bracket.
Really?
in.
No.
Yeah.
I don't plan on it. What I know. So here's what I'm
do you do for 2 weeks when there's nothing else on television?
I go sit with my wife and my mother while they watch the women's, and I'm
you make a good point here because
the women's tournament's going to be fun this year too.
There are a lot of people say they want to watch the women's tournament over the men's tournament.
Well, here's my thing also. I've had enough of basketball this year already.
Come on.
I've just had enough.
Oh, come on.
I've had enough.
That's it? You're done?
Let me rest.
The women's tournament's going to be a lot of fun. Does Caitlin Clark get to the national championship? Can South Carolina continue their dominance? Is there somebody else?
How many fights are there going to be?
I think that's going to be a lot of fun to watch.
How many brawls will happen?
That's the crazy thing is, if South Carolina didn't have such a cupcake in the first round, missing one of their players that got suspended, you might say they might have a little bit of a struggle, but
there's an interesting story.
They're only
going to
win by, say, 25 or 30 instead of 50.
An interesting story on ESPN.com. The headline, not read the story, being Caitlin Clark inside the world of the player who redefined the game.
But did she?
Literally,
did she?
Steph Curry of women's basketball.
But did she? Has she
this
really
is going to be the
redefined
matchup
game?
to watch, and I hope that it comes to fruition before you get to the Caitlin Clark thing, Jeff. I hope Iowa and LSU play in the Elite Eight of that bracket. That would be a fun game to watch. Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, Kim Mulkey. I would tune in for that. I don't watch a lot of
Angel Reese didn't hit the transfer
tournament.
portal. That was just fake news.
What was that?
Angel Reese did not hit the transfer portal. That was fake news, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Fake news.
Yeah. Fake news.
I would tune in to watch the Elite Eight if it's Iowa and LSU. I will watch the Final Four and National Championship of the women's bracket. There's just too much basketball to watch if you try and watch the entire men's and women's tournament.
Right.
Iowa LSU would be appointment television.
Look, it's been 30 years since Cheryl Swoops played. But honestly, I thought Cheryl Swoops should be the one that's ultimately, given the changing of a sport.
I agree with that.
Because I remember sitting in the Times sports office watching the women's college basketball tournament and watching Cheryl Swoops going, I've never seen, a woman play basketball like that. She is the one that revolutionized the sport so that a Caitlin Clark could come along. There was nobody like that. Caitlin Clark, great player. Love Caitlin. Love the positive story just behind her and the excitement. She always has a smile on her face. You're not hearing a lot of negative things.
But I think what they're talking about, redefining the game of basketball, I think is now these arenas are packed out for the women's game. Before, if you go back to Cheryl Swoops' days, maybe you would have a packed out game or a half packed out arena. So, but now, Walker, the crowds are just filing in to watch women's basketball.
They put 50,000 people in the football stadium.
Yeah, I was just looking at this photo. Yeah, 55,000.
And then Nebraska packed out their football stadium for a volleyball match.
Yeah.
Like, women's sports has become a thing, and it's really partially to the success that Caitlin Clark, the mainstream person that she is, doing what she's done as of late.
Look, my house.
I don't know that she's recreated the game of basketball, Jeff, to your point.
Right.
I think she's recreated women's sports in general.
Well, it's redefined, I think is the word.
Yeah,
they used
redefined, that's the word.
Story.
Yeah.
But look, I've got a house full of girls, right? Okay.
So we've been told.
So that those games are on TV. Like they want to watch Caitlin Clark play, and that's what she's. It's kind of like back when I was a kid. Michael Jordan was that guy. In the NBA, like I was glued to the TV to watch him. Cried when he retired, but now here you have the women's sport who has been trying for years to move the needle. And they have now with Caitlin Clark in Iowa State.
Well, back in the day when I watched women's basketball when it was first invented, since I'm that old, but no, it's me and Stacey used to go to the Georgia women's games a lot. She actually went to school with a lot of those, or like Teresa Edwards and Lady Hardman and a lot of those other ladies that ended up playing for Georgia. And I mean, so you're talking like late 80s, early 90s, and Stegman was full for those games back in the day. I think.
But were they?
Yeah, they were, because I was there.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, they were. For those teams, for about an 8-year stretch, when Georgia was always in the, Elite Eight, Final Four, they had some great teams, some great players. The people would come and pack.
I can remember watching Final Fours as a kid in the women's, and
right?
It
and
was
those games were packed out.
No, they were half full.
There.
The Final Four. I'm
just telling you, at Georgia.
I'm talking like if you watch the women's tournament this year, you get to the Final Four. I guarantee you, wherever it is, it's going to be packed out.
I hear you. I know what I saw, and I was there. Okay, so that was back in the late 80s and early 90s. Georgia would pack out their things. I can't speak for everybody else. And yes, you were correct. When they would get to these,
but we're not talking 55,000 people back then. Would
but
they have packed out?
But
12 or 13.
Look,
12 or 13.
Gymnastics, Georgia's gymnastics since the late 80s.
Well, yeah,
they sell they're free tickets, yes.
We're talking basketball.
I understand, but you're also talking, Walker brought up the point of just women's sports in general with the volleyball at Nebraska. Look, back in the day, Georgia's women's teams arguably were better than most of the men's teams, and people showed up. I think it depends on the program and the team and how they're promoting.
It does.
You're not going to see packed houses for every women's sport, just like you don't see packed houses for every men's sport. Like, Georgia's game last night.
I was about to say
they were it was half
not
full.
In tournament game.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was half full.
Yeah, it wasn't. It wasn't half full.
Hey, before we get into the Kirk Cousins stuff and before we transition out of March Madness, shout out to North Georgia's men and Dan Evans and his squad. First ever Elite Eight in program history now after they
Did you see this coming
Tuesday night?
Did you see this coming? Did you see this coming, Walker?
I knew that Dan was starting to get guys in, and they were being more successful year over year. The regional appearance for the first time in program history last year and knocking off UNC Pembroke was big. Getting to host this year after winning the Peach Belt tournament, huge. And then, I mean, when you're hosting in that arena at Convocation, especially when you get the crowds that they'd been getting this entire year, you kind of figured that the home court advantage was going to take over at some point. It did last night, standing room only from what I hear, which is awesome.
I thought about going. I thought about going to that, but I had to cover desk and stuff last night during that game, so I didn't really get to. But I really thought about that because I thought, man, that would be probably pretty fun to go see if they could get that done.
But yeah, they're the number 5 seed now as they head to Evansville. They'll take on West Texas A&M, I think it is.
So they have moved to the Elite Eight, right?
Yep. Okay. Up in Evansville, Indiana, in the Ford Center.
You keep up with them, unfortunately. So what are their chances?
I think that they've got a shot at least to make it to the Final Four. I mean, the 4-5 matchup, you figured that I haven't done a lot of looking at the buffs of West Texas A&M, but you figure that you're going to be pretty evenly matched. So you got to like your chances to make it to the Final Four, and it's kind of the same thing we said here at the Apprentice School. If you can make it to the Final Four and then somehow make it to the national championship, you've got a shot. Right. So
it's a tournament, man.
It is.
Yeah, March Madness.
That's right.
So congrats to Dan Evans and company. Awesome job.
Yeah, congrats to you.
Just North Georgia in particular, real quick, before we go on to the Kirk Cousins thing. So the softball team's been winning national championships. Now the women's basketball team had a great run a couple years. Now the men's team, and I know they're thinking of moving up to Division I, or is that a certainty?
They're thinking. Where was the press release?
Yeah, where are you getting that? Because I'm hearing a lot different from my sources.
Okay. I think we were talking West Georgia, who is definitely moving up. And
yes.
I think when we were down at West Georgia, Seth,
When was that?
Hold on. I was talking to Lakeview people because Chesty people because of
I'm lost now.
Riley
Me
Black.
too.
Thank you,
apparently,
Riley
I,
Black.
When did
apparently
Chastity
I was
go
there and
to
I'm
West
lost.
Georgia?
No, never mind. I was talking to some people at Chastity because West Georgia's going Division I. That was one of the reasons that Riley Black went to West Georgia. And somebody in the crowd was talking, we're hoping that North Georgia's going to think about doing the same thing. And I said, is that something? And I think somebody had heard that that's a possibility. That's not going to happen.
That's always a possibility, but are they ready?
From my sources, that's not even being thought about currently seriously.
Okay.
Maybe if it is being thought about, it's not a serious thought.
So it's just some
right now. North Georgia's just
Perhaps jokingly,
just
or
focused on
facetiously.
trying to be
Maybe
the
so.
best Division II out there, and
Yeah,
win
and if you move up
championships
to
and everything.
if you move up to D1, you're going to add some more sports, right?
Yeah, you'd have to
Yeah.
add volleyball and
right.
well,
Well, no, that's what I'm just.
yeah,
I'm just.
nice if
there'd
they
be
had
a
a
lot
football
of sports
team.
that they need to
Right.
add. Yeah.
It's just they've had a lot of success, and I guess maybe somebody was thinking hopefully they would and kind of create like a Georgia rivalry there or something. But I don't. I had not heard that. That's why
Yeah,
you're more involved with North Georgia than I am, Walker. So that's why I was just curious.
All right, guys.
Yeah, my sources are saying no,
Okay.
not any time in the
I like them where they
foreseeable
are.
future.
Yeah,
I
do
like
too.
them where they
That's
are.
it. Okay, so the Falcons have their quarterback as we transition into the NFL.
They do.
They have their quarterback. Now, before we get there, let's talk a moment about the conditional 4th-round draft pick that was traded for Justin Fields.
Okay. Yeah, 4th round. Boy, his stock dropped like a rock.
And there were allegedly, there's not going to be a competition for the starting job with Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh.
No,
So Russell has already been named the starter.
as far as I understand it, yes. I have a friend that's a huge Steelers fan, and I was asking about this over the weekend when that whole thing came down, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't understand what they're doing with that."
Is this a piece that Pittsburgh is going to move in a trade, maybe for another draft pick?
I don't
a
know.
higher draft pick?
I also read that it could be a 1-year deal with Russell. Both of them's contracts end at the end of the year. It could be that Russell Wilson is going to, groom Justin Fields
Same thing.
to kind of take over after Russell Wilson's 1 year in Pittsburgh. However, if Russell Wilson has a great season, why would you maybe not sign him and then maybe move Justin Fields? But I don't know.
What I see here happening is Russell Wilson's going to get injured and Justin Fields is going to step up.
Yeah, but Russell Wilson never really does get injured. I mean, that's one of the things. That's one of the reasons I understand they signed him.
Okay. I
Yeah,
just
but now
thought it
he's
was very
playing in
interesting.
that
y'all.
division.
Did you guys not find the trade interesting, though?
Well, I did just because, people were throwing around the first pick and all they had to give up was a 4th round conditional. His Fields stock dropped in the last 3 weeks for some particular reason. I mean,
Big time.
Huge.
Big time.
Huge. That's the interesting thing to me is just the value.
I got to say, though, I'm happy. I like the pickup of Kirk Cousins.
Do you
do.
like the contract though?
Well,
Because I've been on the Kirk Cousins bandwagon since the start.
Well, the fourth year is not guaranteed.
Yeah, but that's a huge cap hit already, though.
So
You're 4 years, 180 with 100 guaranteed. It's a massive cap hit.
So
and,
what
like,
were you going to get? Apparently Chicago was not dealing at the time.
No.
Or the
I'm not
Falcons
saying
didn't
that-
want Justin Fields.
I'm going to go with that.
I'm saying that the Falcons should have gone for like a 2-year deal.
I don't disagree with that, but
I've been on the
If-
Kirk Cousins bandwagon since the start. I thought that was the guy to go get.
if the
But
Falcons
4 years, you're not getting a quarterback now. The Falcons have shown their hand. There's no quarterback coming at number 8.
Well, no.
No.
However,
I don't think there ever was going to be a quarterback.
is this a great year for quarterbacks if you're not the 1 or 2 or 3 pick? And so let's say next year there's some good quarterbacks coming out. Now the Falcons can draft one, and you've got Kirk Cousins that can guide him into the league.
But there again, if you're wanting a top quarterback in the draft and Kirk Cousins leads you to the playoffs, a 12-win season, where's your pick going to be then to be able to get that? Or maybe you're in a position to trade up next year. I don't know.
Well, that's where I was at with the 2-year deal, because when we talked 2 weeks ago about this, I thought 2-year deal for Cousins, you could still trade up to 3, 4, whatever the number is, to go get one of the top quarterbacks and use Kirk to groom that top quarterback so that 3 years from now, you've got a guy who's been under Kirk Cousins, who's above average, if not, second-tier quarterback in the NFL currently.
Right.
And you've got somebody that's been grooming him for 2 years. That's what I thought the Falcons should have done. Well, and now that you've gone 4 years, 180.
Yeah, you're stuck.
I think the Falcons should trade back.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons.
That's the talk right now. Is I did read a couple stories where the Falcons are looking maybe to trade back.
Well, and they could. Look, it could be $100 million of that was guaranteed up front. So when you look at it, so let's say you get 2 years, Kirk Cousins, let's say his skills diminish a little bit. He decides to retire. He gets hurt, whatever. With so much money up front, it's not backloaded it's front loaded for those 2 years that you're looking at, Walker. I don't look, I like Kirk Cousins as an old Washington Redskins fan. I loved Kirk Cousins back then. I thought that, he went to a couple of teams that just didn't have everything they needed for him to, be able to make a big push in the playoffs. I like the Falcons.
Mainly O-line.
Yeah, I like the Falcons roster. I do. I like the Falcons roster. They needed a quarterback. He is a massive upgrade to what they had. Whether he can lead them to the promised land, that's to be seen. Can he make it 4 years in the league? I don't know, which is why I think so much was up front. I think they do at some point. They may, I think at some point in the next year, maybe not this year, but maybe next year, they go get a quarterback that they think is going to be their future, that he can mentor and guide. And maybe they start a thing like the, Packers did, where you went from Favre to Aaron Rodgers to Love. Where all of those guys were,
I gotta say, if I don't know if you guys watched it, I keep going back to it because it's really the most I ever watched Kirk Cousins play was in that quarterback series on Netflix.
Love that show. That was great.
And, during the games, I think he spent more time on his back than he did upright. And if we go back to the Matt Ryan days in Atlanta, he was his worst. And this is really any quarterback that can't get out of the way of their own shadow. That's a true pocket guy, a pro-style guy. If he doesn't have an offensive line in front of him that can keep him safe, he's not going to be effective. And we saw that with Matt Ryan. The year they went to the Super Bowl, he had a good offensive line.
Great offensive.
And I think the Falcons right now have a good offensive line. They also have a lot of great pieces, and they continue to add to that receiving room. The backfield is fantastic. Defense is still in good shape. So I think the addition, and we've said it 1,000 times, the Falcons have a quarterback last year. They're in the playoffs, and I think they did exactly what they needed to do this year is go get a quarterback that can guide this team, that can be effective in the pocket, that can lead them into the playoffs with all the pieces they have around, plus with the addition of Raheem Morris as head coach, Walker.
And the thing is that you don't have to have 12 wins in the NFC South to get into the playoffs. You know what I mean?
No, you don't.
I think.
But I'm just saying, I think they'll get 12 wins next year. I'm just
first 1 to 9.
I think that's a solid. Yeah. If they put the over under at 10.5, I would take over. Yeah. If they put it at 11.5, I might take under. I'm not sure. They're somewhere in the 10 to 12 win range with Kirk Cousins. I agree with that. The question just becomes, how healthy is he week 1?
That's exactly the biggest question.
I agree. And
because now you've gotten rid of Ritter.
Mm-hmm.
He's gone. So your backup is Taylor Heineke, which Heineke did well in the limited amount we saw. He got hurt.
He got hurt.
Played a whole lot.
He got hurt. Both times he came in, he got hurt.
Yep.
Look, you talked about the back trading. Look, I can see them taking 8, trading 8 for maybe a couple of picks, maybe a couple of second rounders. Continue to work on the offensive line. If a Ladd McConkey is out there in the second round, you take him?
I think you could probably get him in the third.
I mean,
his stock's rising. I don't know if you've
yeah,
been reading.
I don't think
some have got him in a late first round now.
If he's in the second, and let's say you can trade that.
If he's available in the second, I think you have to take him.
I do too, because I like the Falcons receivers, but I think they could actually upgrade at that area. I doubt Brock Bowers is going to make it out of the first round, and you already have Pitts, but if Bowers is in the second round, do you take Bowers?
The only way I'm keeping 8 is if Bowers is available. If Bowers isn't available,
do you
I'm
need
trading
another
So
tight
do you
end?
really think that that's the route they're going to go? Because a lot are saying that the Falcons are looking at an edge
And
in the first round.
they need that. They need to continue to build depth on the offensive line.
Who is that going to be, though? I guess it's according to who drops.
Yeah, I think you're going to be able to find edge guys mid to late first round.
Look,
So that's why I say if Bowers isn't available, because I think Bowers is the next Travis Kelce. Just the way he plays.
I would agree.
So
I
if,
can
if
see
you
that.
can get that guy with Kyle Pitts, I mean, you can start really loading up your offensive line with the backfield that the Falcons have,
right.
and still have options.
But
to
is
throw it
Kyle
to.
Pitts really a tight end?
I don't know. And is he really elite? I mean, I'm kind of there.
I
I
don't
know
know
he's
that he's
6'4", but is he really a tight end?
I don't know. But I just, if 8's available and you feel like you don't need Brock Bowers, do you, and you know someone that's in the 20s pick, do you sell that pick for that 20 and a second round pick because you know somebody wants Bowers and
Yeah.
See,
Yes.
I think the Falcons, I hope that they're really entertaining the idea of trading down, adding a pick so that you can go after, offensive line depth, an edge rusher, and you might even still be able to, pluck a Ladd McConkey in the second round. That would be an absolute steal.
McConkey hits me as a Wes Welker type of guy, which I think is another guy that is an easy fit into Raheem Morris's scheme. So I really like the McConkey thing. But again, if Bowers is available, like that's a guy that you're going to put butts in seats because everybody wants to see him play here in Atlanta.
Caleb making that noise.
Right?
Yeah, my wife says that'll never happen because he's a Georgia guy. But we'll see. They never pick.
Well,
Georgia
a lot of people say, well, yes, just because
he's
you're
probably not going to get
biased.
picked by him. But if the Falcons front office was smart, they haven't been good enough. And Falcons fans, Bo, you can say it right now because I know you're right there in the season ticket holder spot. It hasn't
Not
been
anymore.
good for you guys to spend money.
Not anymore. But I was.
My point exactly.
And look, I could not
the front
sell.
office has let you down to where you're not buying season tickets anymore.
I could not sell the season tickets when we had them. So, I mean, that's the problem. We got tired of going because it was the same result every game. And we just gave them.
What was that again?
But
what was the
now,
same result?
If you still
Caleb is causing problems again.
L's.
If you still had them, Bo, if you still had those season tickets and the Falcons got Brock Bowers,
Where'd you go?
would it be easier for you to sell? Would it be easier for
It
you
would
to
be
sell your
easier to
season
sell the season
Exactly.
tickets. There's no doubt about that. And this is not just Georgia fans sitting here wanting Georgia players. This is a Georgia player that is worthy
Oh yeah.
Yes.
of being drafted, regardless of. I mean,
Jordan Davis.
here's my thing. Here's my thing. Do you pick the absolute best player on the board at number 8, no matter what position?
I think you do.
Or do you pick your need? That's the question I have. What do you do?
I go for the best player, which is why Jordan Davis should already be on the Falcons. And
What do you do? What do you do there?
I take the best
Or do you do
player.
it like this, Walker, Jeff? Do you do it like this? You pick a position that you need. Is it the absolute best player for that position, or if it's just the absolute best player still left on the board in the draft at number 8?
If
you
the
keep
absolute best player on the board at number 8 is Brock Bowers, I take him.
I do
If
too.
the absolute best player on the board is anybody but Brock Bowers, because Bowers has been taken
Right.
earlier than that, I'm trading back because I think I can get a top 3 player at whatever position I feel like I need at 15 to 20.
Right.
Yes.
Yes.
I think
Agree.
I think I typically like taking the best player. There are times you do need to draft on need, And then there are those players that they just transcend all of that. I feel Brock Bowers, you mentioned Travis Kelce, like there are certain players like that doesn't matter where they are, you know they're going to be good. You take them. It doesn't matter. You may have 6 tight ends, but you don't have any like that.
Right.
Okay? You can get rid of the other 6. I think if you have a player, and I think, there's a lot being put on Bowers. I mean, they're already talking, Hall of Fame greatness and that kind of thing. So, and anything can happen, Look at David
He's a
Pollock.
younger Travis Kelce.
Yeah, but look
the way
at
he plays is identical.
No, I agree. But look at David Pollock as an example. I mean, David Pollock was already being talked about Hall of Fame. He's going to have this long career.
Yeah.
And then bang, he didn't make it out of his first season. So anything can happen. But I think that there are just certain players, and I think Brock Bowers, I think he is the only player I see in this entire draft.
So we obviously
I think that has that kind of greatness to them.
So we know what the number 1 pick's going to be. It's going to be a quarterback.
Yeah, absolutely.
Caleb Williams.
Or Jaden Daniels,
I'm
depending.
taking Jaden, but whatever.
Chicago's already basically put their chips on Caleb Williams from what I've read.
Yeah. So
it's Caleb Williams 1, Jaden Daniels 2.
Yes. I don't think there's any question about that.
all right, so what's the next need on the board? Has anybody looked at the 3 through 8? I've not looked at the draft board
picks
lately.
at 3?
I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, but probably need to check to see what the need is there, because if teams are going to draft for a tight end, then Brock may not be there.
Yeah, I don't think Brock is going to get to 8. I really don't. I mean, I would really question every single NFL GM if Brock Bowers makes it all the way to the Falcons.
It'll be interesting to see if he does drop to 8.
I mean,
because some have him.
Look, Julio dropped to 8. I was stunned that year. I mean, and Julio,
didn't the Falcons trade everything they had to get what pick was Julio?
I think Julio went 8 because the Falcons traded up. But the fact that he made it to 8 just absolutely blew me.
All right, here you go. NFL.com.
Yes.
NFL.com. Brock Bowers is projected 12th to the Broncos.
Holy smokes.
Okay, 12th to the Broncos.
And what do they have the Falcons taking?
So here's NFL.com. This is their mock draft as of yesterday. Caleb Williams 1 to the Bears. Drake May 2 to the Commanders.
What?
Patriots get Jaden Daniels at 3. J.J. McCarthy goes 4th to the Vikings.
Ugh.
Marvin Harrison to the Jets at 5. Malik Neighbors at 6 to the Giants. Joe Alt, offensive tackle from Notre Dame to the Titans. And then they have Dallas Turner, edge rusher from Alabama, to the Falcons.
I would take Dallas Turner. I think Dallas Turner or Brock Bowers.
I think that's what the Falcons are going to go for. I think they're really going to go for that edge rusher.
Right.
In the first round.
Look,
I wouldn't be mad at that pick.
Absolutely not.
Either.
No. I love Brock. And I think, probably of those two players, I think he's probably going to have the longer career and more productive, assuming, assuming no injuries. But for what the Falcons need, and they have some good playmakers on offense, I would go Dallas Turner.
Yeah.
Although, if they decided to go Brock Bowers, I definitely would not complain. But I wouldn't complain if they took Dallas Turner.
I wouldn't complain either.
Dallas Turner is the best defensive player in the draft.
Look, when's the draft? What's the date?
Like the 23rd.
It's coming up in a month, almost exactly.
It's like the 3rd week in April.
All right, guys, roll our music. We get out of here.
Wow.
But while we get the music rolling, how about this? Amarius Mims, 25th to the Packers.
25th to the Packers.
I like that.
Who?
Mims, tackle from
Wow,
Georgia.
that's pretty good at 25.
And then A.D. Mitchell.
Our old buddy.
Adonde.
Our old buddy.
Adonde.
Yeah, they've got him projected to the Chiefs in the first round.
Ooh.
Wow.
Ooh.
Interesting.
Where's Ladd?
Not in the top round. Or not in the first round.
All right, guys.
That's very intriguing.
Look, I'm going to the sofa now. Yeah.
Wait, we have a sofa in the sports office?
How do you spell see it football season?
I'm going to go to watch.
We have a sofa in the sports office?
Yes.
I missed that.
Yeah, you missed it. All right. Hey, enjoyed it, guys. Enjoy the tournament.
Let's do it again next week. Let's not go 2 weeks again.
Yeah,
Roll Tide.
Don't forget your favorite foods. this weekend, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, food ball.
I want Walkers.
Yeah.
Send it, Walker.
Yeah, send it. All right, happy picking. Enjoy March Madness. Till next week. Bye-bye. That was a dead.
Yeah.